Hi, welcome to Sumery P. Today I'm going to share with you how I make my fairy bread cake with spelt flour. It looks like a giant slice of fairy bread. For any of my Aussie viewers out there, they know what I mean. Fairy bread is white bread, butter or margarine, and all these hundreds and thousands sprinkled on top. Every Aussie kid that I know had that at their childhood parties, or even big kids. So today I've turned it into a cake inspired by a baker from Sydney, Katherine Sabbath. Thanks, Katherine. I've tweaked the recipe. I've made it my own. If you'd like to see how I make this delicious, fun fairy bread cake, come with me and let's see. Step one, for our giant fairy bread cake today, I'm going to do it with my favourite flour, spelt flour, white spelt flour, but feel free to use regular flour. And you can even use self-raising flour, but leave out all the baking powder and everything. So in this bowl, I'm just finishing off sifting my flour. So it's 2 1/4 cups or about 310 grams. And then we need to add in, whilst we're sifting, we're going to add just 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda or bicarb soda as it's known here, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt, not too much salt. I'm just going to continue sifting that. So we're going to throw that all into our stand mixer. And I'm doing a method today called the reverse creaming method. I've been enjoying doing this method because I find it works really well for just simple vanilla cakes. Okay, in here I've got 215 grams of caster sugar, or 1 cup. If you've only got white sugar in the house, it should be fine just to use that as well. And this method we're going to put the butter in as well. So we've got 125 grams of softened butter. And I like to use unsalted butter. So we're going to whiz all this up until it's combined and the butter starts looking like little pea shapes. So the flour and butter all coats. I love this method because it's easy and it always tastes light and fluffy. So while that's mixing, you can get your cake tin prepared. So in Australia, every child at their birthday party has what's called fairy bread. Imagine supermarket white bread with margarine or butter spread on the top of the bread, and then you put hundreds and thousands or multicoloured sprinkles on top. That's fairy bread. That's what we have in Australia. Anyway, I was inspired to do this cake by a lady called Katherine Sabbath. She's a baker in Australia, and she did this giant fairy bread cake. And I've done one recipe that's on my website, but it has so much sugar that I thought I need to do another recipe that's got less sugar, and that's what I'm sharing in this video today. So it's in a square tin. So this is my brownie tin. It's about 22 centimeters by 22, and I've greased it with butter and lined it just with paper one way. That's all you really need. And I'll just give this another 30 seconds whizzing around. In here I've got 1 cup of regular milk, and we need to put in some vanilla. So I like to use about 1 to 1 1/2 teaspoons of vanilla. You can add a little bit more or less depending on your taste buds. So into the milk I'm going to pop the eggs, but I'm just going to crack it into this little ramekin first, because that's what I always like doing. Oh, I forgot to mention, you need to pop your oven onto 170 degrees C, and I've got a fan, and I'll pop some notes up above for Fahrenheit measurements, as I always do. The original recipe had a cream cheese icing, but I want to do a buttercream icing today. So just give those eggs a little bit of a help along. I'm going to pour half of this mixture in while it's on low. Just checking, maybe I need a little bit more. Now I'll pour the rest of the milk mix on low. I'm going to stop and scrape it once again. This just ensures you don't get anything kind of left sticking to the sides or to the bottom. Then I'm going to do it on medium speed for 30 seconds. Grab your cake tin, it's already prepared. And the reason I do it in a square tin and not a round or a rectangle is that when we cut little triangles of cake, that mimics fairy bread, because it's always done in triangles. I should have said that. What I like to do is just tap the batter so there's no air bubbles. Now we bake this for about 25 to 30 minutes. So I'm going to keep an eye on it at about 25 minutes, and if it's golden brown, my cake skewer comes out clean, then we know it's done. So our cake's out of the oven, and for some reason my cake domed up today, but I'm going to show you how you can rectify it, and we'll come back tomorrow once it's completely cool and we'll do the buttercream frosting or buttercream icing, and then we're going to add our little sprinkles on top. Can't wait to show you. So to make the easy buttercream, I'm going to sift my icing sugar directly into the bowl, because I'm going to mix it on my stand mixer, but you can do it with handheld beaters or by your hand if you're strong enough. So I've got 230 grams, and I'll pop the cup measurements up above. So just whisk that in, sift it in, but I will get my whisk to help it along. Okay, those last little bits don't want to be sifted, so I'm just going to leave that to one side. And then we're going to add in 125 grams, that's half a packet of softened butter. Now if you find that you're rushing and your butter's not soft enough, you can pop your butter in the bowl first and whisk it with your beater and then add the icing sugar. But my butter's quite soft because I've had it out all morning. And then add in 2 teaspoons of vanilla. There are some recipes that add a dash of milk, like 1 or 2 tablespoons. So if you find that you want kind of a looser and softer icing, you can add a little bit of milk, but we'll just add this. I've just got a little bit of butter and sugar caught, so I'm just going to scoop it out, stop and scrape. And we're aiming to get the icing or frosting to be really white. So that's how we make our easy buttercream. But I'm going to pop it onto the cake now. So we've had this cake cooling overnight, so we've got a little bit of a dome. So I'm just going to fix it up by slicing it off, and I'm going to pop the leftover cake into this bowl. So I've just got a really sharp bread knife, and I'm just running it over the top. And I'll have to transform the leftover cake into something. If there's any suggestions out there what you do with your leftover cake, let me know. I've never made cake pops, so maybe I should try making cake pops. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. That's good. It's kind of fluffy and buttery and not too sweet. In many of my other videos, I always mention how I don't really like things that are too sweet. So we're just going to do the top, and I'm going to do kind of like leave a little bit of the edge showing. So it kind of looks like we've just done fairy bread with the crust showing. So I'm going to leave the border, which is about 1/2 centimetre. That's looking quite good. Now we're going to put the sprinkles. So in here I've got 3/4 cup or 150 grams, and I've mixed a few different brands in there. So I've got kind of a combination, I don't know if you can see that, of like some long shards, some yellow crystals, and some hundreds and thousands. So I'm just going to do a generous sprinkle of them all. I think that's all we need today. So there's my fairy bread cake. Let's cut into it. So grab a sharp knife, and we need to do it in triangles, because fairy bread's always in triangles. And we'll do a giant cut here. And that's it. How good does that look? And I've got the sprinkles going everywhere. I'm going to come closer and show you a little bit closer. So here's a close-up of our fairy bread cake. Look how fun that looks. I've done my photos, so now we can have a little munch and do a taste test. I'm going to grab one of the centerpieces because, you know, they're always softer. The crumb of the cake is really moist and tender and light and smooth. It's almost velvety, and the icing on top doesn't taste like margarine, like fairy bread. It tastes like this creamy, buttery buttercream. Yum. I'm going to wait and enjoy this off camera. Write some comments below if you like this video. Write comments if you given this a go and let me know what you think of it. And any other comments you'd like to make down below on ideas for other celebration cakes or Aussie favourites, pop a note. And I'll pop some other links up above for a few other Aussie treats and celebration cakes. And once again, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.